What's up?
Nice intro. I love
Yeah. We had Phil right there at the end too, right?
it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. What's up? How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Excited to have you on. And, it's like, hey, well, what are we going to talk about? It's like, well, what do you want to talk about? We can talk about anything, right? Anything and all things real estate related. I think, definitely unpacking your story a little bit and, just kind of you and your journey through, through navigating kind of the real estate terrain and really the whole agent to CEO concept, right? Really the agent, the self-employed mindset, moving into really the CEO business owner mindset, and really what it takes to get to that point. I definitely want to talk about your creativeness, the marketing side of things, your brand. I think there's so much value in what it is that you're doing. It's so right. It's definitely the direction to go. And the agents that I'm seeing thriving in today's market crush social media and their look, their feel, their brand, just constantly, paying attention to it, working on it, improving upon it. And, I guess the results are really speaking to that. So, definitely cool to see. I want to get into that. But before we do, let's give a little context, give a little background, start to kind of take us through this real estate journey that you've been on.
Yeah, no, it's been a journey. I always tell everyone that I was not the first realtor to I wasn't the rookie of the year. It took me a long time to really appreciate this industry and be good at it is probably the best. I started out really young, probably around 18, 19. I started doing my courses and in Canada, it's, in Ontario, it's like 6 courses you have to take. It's like a university type of level of schooling. So I came in, I started working with my dad. He was kind of a part-time agent. So he kind of taught me how to use real estate as a back burner, never as a real career. So I was flipping houses in the beginning. I didn't realize, I would walk away from every listing appointment going, yeah, I definitely didn't land that because I just followed his footsteps, and he'll be the first one to tell you that, he taught me everything not to do. And and even flying by the edge of my seat, I was selling farms, rode his coattails for a couple of years. That was kind of my bread and butter, was selling farms. And there was no real social media back then. There was, the London Free Press. You could make an ad for there. You wrote it out. It was pathetic. And that was the only way to advertise your property. And I felt like I really learned how to be a strong listing agent because I was an agent during the times when it was really hard to sell a home. Like selling a home in 3 months was huge. It was
massive.
Yeah, it was a quick sale. So, having those hard conversations, I just had my agent call me just before this call going, hey, should I take this property off the market because it hasn't had any showings? And I just don't know what to tell my clients. And, being in that position was always the most uncomfortable, asking for the price reductions, trying to think outside the box, just giving them no answers just because maybe another house down the street sold and why isn't ours? It's just those really hard answers and questions that you have to deal with sellers and keeping the listings too. So learning how to get the listings and keeping them, then eventually getting them to the finish line was a little bit of an art because as we know, people like to jump other realtors. So that really helped me amplify my business because when I had so many going, Georgia, what are you doing to sell my house? What can we do different? When I saw social media, I was like, oh, what a great platform that I can actually showcase their house, get them more exposure and help advertise versus just doing print. And that's really why I jumped into it so heavy. And that's kind of where I am now. And then, I had a really hard time in my life. Something happened really tragic close to me. It took me away from my real estate career. About 2 years, I was totally distracted. And when I came back to it, I realized that if you are not building a business, if you're not running it, it goes away like that. And it wasn't until that I realized I had bought a house. I had no commissions coming in. And I was doing other side projects that I needed to step it up to actually make this a career and run it like a business. And that's what I did. And I just went gun ho, and it was either do or die. So I really learned. I know I had a different coach at the time, and he helped me build a team, showed me the ropes. My whole story on building a team is a whole nother call of what I learned in 3 or 4 years and where I am now. But that helped me get the people underneath me that I needed. It showed me the power of only focusing on what I'm good at, which is talking with clients and marketing. Taught me how to get into men and how to duplicate my business every single year from the time that I started doing that. And now I hope I run it like a CEO. I hope I run it like a business. And honestly, John, that was it. It was actually running your real estate career like a business versus on the edge of your seat. Just deal to deal, and you're only as good as your next deal. So, and it's such a different career when you focus in on that, because you're not worried about where your next deal is coming from or if that deal didn't come together.
Yeah, for sure. And it's moving into that understanding. Okay, well, the whole theory of constraints concept, right? It's like, okay, now let me step back and, I have different responsibilities, and the way I have to think about it, I'm responsible for the P&L, but like, where am I stuck? And most of the time in that transition, the agent is the bottleneck, right? You are the bottleneck. And it takes like, okay, confessing and owning that is just like, okay, I am the bottleneck here. And the second thing that I have to accept is that I can't do it all. I can't do it all alone. Yeah. And I think once you kind of come to grips with that, it's kind of like a weight off your shoulders. Like, okay, all right, I'm the bottleneck and I can't do this alone. And then it comes down to, okay, who do I need to help? And when you look at any type of endeavor, it's always, okay, what are we doing? Who do we need? And how are we going to do it? So it's strategy and tactics. But when you get to a certain point, it's where you were, it was like, okay, well, I can have the best strategy on the planet. I can have the best tactics that save the most amount of time. However, if I don't have talent around me, I can only do so much. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the jump for you, but making that evolution into the side of things. And I remember our first conversation was like, if I have to lead these agents, I'm out. I don't want to do this.
Yes.
That's the entrepreneur mindset, right? That I've got to do it all. And I remember saying to you, I was like, well, then we build it to where you never have to do that.
Oh, I feel like I'm walking on a cloud now because you helped me get to that position. And when you are a full-time realtor and you're not a leader, like I feel like I'm such a good leader now, but when you just become a leader, like there's so much more responsibility on top of everything else. Yeah. You think you're doing a good job, and the next thing you know, it could be completely the opposite, and things blow up in your face, and you get warned that they're going to, and you don't believe it, but then you kind of believe it, and then it happens, and you're just like, oh my God, what am I doing here? So yeah, even my transformation from a year ago, literally probably coming up not even a year ago, coming up from January, is astronomical compared to where I was this time last year. It's amazing.
I think too, you've learned obviously adversity. And I think anytime that you go through any type of adversity in any aspect of our life, so you had mentioned, something that had happened very close to you that kind of took you out of the business for a couple of years, and then, the struggles and the challenges that you had to navigate through at the beginning of this year. Do you feel having to deal with something hard in your life helped you navigate through what we had to go through this year?
Oh yeah. I mean, it can never be as bad as it once was. It's like, it's as bad as one thing could be. If you make it through once, you're not really as worried the second time around. But what happened before and happened this year is completely different. And it's amazing how quickly you can recover now when you've been through some hard times, because you just know you can get better, and it's all up to you. And if your mindset's there, it's not a big deal. But when you're in the trenches, it's bad for a little bit. But I mean, honestly, the people that you surround yourself with, where you get your advice from, and what direction you take from wherever situation you're in, honestly, is your end result. And I'm a good result of that, because I leaned on really strong-minded people, and people that knew a lot better than I would, that had bigger problems than I ever had, and got me to the finish line to where I am now. And just, it's only been so many months, and I look back and it's like, I can't believe that even happened. And I'm so happy it happened. Those things had to happen for me to be where I'm at now. 100%.
Yeah. So you look at it. So you mentioned the word, and everything you're saying there is really that mindset. And that's just one of the core kind of have to happen, right? To be able to go from agent to CEO and really self-employed, right? Because if you move through the journey, right, you're employed, then you become self-employed. And then it's, okay, do I make the jump? Do I become a business owner and business owner mentality? But it has to start in the mind. And so, what are some things for you, Georgia, that really help, mental models, things that you process through to really, from a mindset perspective, that you've adopted along the way that really help you to, navigate where we're at and where we're going?
Yeah, mindset wise, well, I think one of the biggest things I learned was I have to go back to this is just knowing what my strengths and weaknesses are and not wearing every hat in the business and not trying to be number one in the head of the company and run everything down. Like our biggest accomplishment I think I have to this date is the accountability and the leader factor of what I was not good at being a leader is not even on my plate anymore. And I don't even
Mhm.
focus on it. And I don't even think about it. And knowing exactly what I need to do and only what I need to do and having that direct line has made the biggest difference, I think, in my success and why I'm sitting here right now with the team that I have versus not having a team at all. So that was probably the biggest strength that helped me get to where I am, just a clear vision of where I wanted to be and sticking to it and working every day and getting to where I am now.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's almost like you said, you've got to experience it, and then you're like, okay, that's what that is. Okay, I don't want that no more. Or, ooh, I like that. I want some more of that. And I think, for you, as we transition and talk about the who component, because like I said, you can have world-class strategy, world-class tactics, but you can only go so far. And that's why the talent in the who's around you will exponentially return you more than any strategy or tactic ever will. And so for you making that adjustment, just even this year, right? And looking at, the key foundational, pillars that you brought in. And so what we were talking about is like, well, you don't lead the agents, then you need somebody great to lead those agents. And then it's like, okay, well, I know have no business doing anything back of the house, I know my strengths, right? My strengths are marketing and my strengths are face-to-face with motivated clients. And so for you finding those who's, like, talk a little bit about the process that you went through where we have Kea, we have Laura, but like, I think a lot of agents sometimes even, struggle with finding the talent, or even when they have the talent, being able to get the most out of the talent. So like, how's that been for you so far, this year alone?
Yeah.
Just the massive growth that you've had personally, and really, but more so with them, right? I think it's something to be said when you find great people, but how do you find them and how do you get the
Yeah.
most out of them?
I think as an independent agent too, one of the hardest things I ever had to do was when I was told I needed to hire an admin. Let's just start there. That was, I never hired anyone. The strengths in even hiring and finding someone was already too big of a deal for me to even get through my head, that I made it such a big mountain, even though it's so important to have that right hip for you to help make those
Mhm.
decisions. Because she's everything I'm opposite. So my first hire was my admin. And for any realtor watching this that, thinks that they can do absolutely everything and they can do it better and they can't teach somebody to do it, you can do it. Because trust me, I did it. And I'm not like, that was so difficult for me to find that one person that can just take my paperwork. And, I hired them part-time. And then, within a month they were full-time. And just a tidbit like that, having that one admin for my own personal business scaled my business, doubled it the first time. Okay. Just being able to not deal with the paperwork. And then I actually stole the ad for her from another team member. Another team said, hey, how do you even hire an admin? So I got like what I needed, copied and pasted that I have, that anybody wants that, put it on, I forget what website it is now that you find people. I can't even I don't even do that. And, I was lucky. The only tip I have for hiring on that side of things was I had to hire somebody who was the opposite of me and someone that I didn't want to go have a drink with. That's what I was told. And to this day, we've never had a drink together. She's been with me for 4 years. And that's like, I just got lucky with my men. I know it takes a little bit sometimes to find that right one. But then from there, when I first started the team, I just picked up agents that reached out to me that wanted to be on my team and asked that. I never had a hiring process. I never had anything that I really went through their values and their mission. And, if they aligned with me, if they didn't, I just kind of took anyone that kind of fell on my plate, and I fast forward that those agents were with me for a very long time, but I fast forward and that was not the environment, the toxicity that was going through my team. I didn't know, and they didn't align with my core values at the end of the day. So by me not paying attention to the hiring process, and you told me recently, actually, John, that, your number one thing in business, the best thing you could do is have like a gold standard hiring process. And I didn't even know what that was. So, once I learned how important that was, and when we started to rebuild the team, keeping that in the forefront and really vetting the people I brought on and looking for the strengths that I needed, that made the biggest difference ever in my business, even from just a couple months ago. My other biggest hire that I brought on was my head of sales, my head of ISA. I actually brought her on as an ISA because she actually worked in the gym industry and she was used to calling people every single day. So phone skills already were through the roof. And then the other thing that she had that I really looked forward to in my team was that she actually ran the sales team at this gym. And if you know gyms, they are sharks. They're calling you like they were not let up. And LA Fitness, I have to say, they have an incredible way of training their employees. So quickly, when I put her in that position, I noticed that she was already amplifying the other ISA. I have 2 ISAs on my team. And not only was her number of calls and the way that she was being accountable with how they were producing for us made the other teammate that was an ISA amplify. And now he's another scale I had him for 3 years to where he is now from the last 6 months, having the proper leader in that area. Incredible. Eventually now she's our head of accountability, head of events. But what she did for our team now is she knows how to keep people accountable. She knows how to daily motivate, have those hard conversations and not have any emotion attached to it. And that has taken away from my position of me trying to keep the agents accountable, me being, hey, did you hit your calls? Why didn't you do these emails? Why did this? I'm a motivator. I am one that brings ideas. I'm creative. I'm not one to be the bearer of bad news and keep you aligned. I want you to be wanting to be here, and to take that responsibility off me was a game changer in how the whole team interacts, how every single day, responsibility off my shoulders. I cannot believe the difference now. So I always hear other team leaders why they're so frustrated. And I feel like the number one thing is keeping everybody accountable, keeping everybody doing what they promised to do. And to find somebody that maybe you're incredible at it as a team leader, but if that is not your strength, finding that next person to be that strength in your team, world of a difference. And not only does that amplify you, it amplifies every other member that's not even on the agents. It's the whole back end. Everyone just starts working in synergy. It's like a beautiful thing. I feel like I'm in like a beautiful mind, the movie. I'm like, I didn't even know this was possible.
It is. It's so key. And what you said right there, you nailed it. And our job as kind of head of our own company is to put ourselves in a position to where we're doing things that give us energy, not take away. And then also doing the things that make the business and make myself the most amount of money. That's where I'm trying to get to. Yeah. And then once I'm able to get myself in there, then I'm trying to get my team, my key people doing the same thing, things that give them energy and the things that help make them and the company the most amount of money. And that's part of our job as head of companies is one, obviously we got to lead by example. 2, we have to have a vision for the organization, because it's really hard to hire great people if there's no destination, right? If we don't know where we're trying to go, what mission we're fighting, what values that we will, die on the hill for, and really that big picture of overall the top of the mountain that we're in pursuit of and why we do what we do. And being able to help them understand their role in it, right? So being able to bring Laura in and say, Laura, this is what we're trying to do, and this is how your role helps us get there. Kea, this is who we are. This is what we're trying to do. This is how you in your role help us get there. And if you can just do that as a leader, because once we have the vision and articulate the vision, then we have to build the team. We have to build the team. And so being able to have that, and that's why, you were at a point now to where, okay, guys, if for us to go, then it's all about what is the process to get people, right? And so, you get to a certain point that you can do it yourself, which is growth. But if you want to scale, now it's systems, and you can't do what you did to get to a certain point. Now you need, systems, better structure, better frameworks, better people, to be able to do that. And in order to find those people, you've got to have a great system to go acquire people. And I think, you getting out of the way and not doing things that rob you of energy, which is accountability to other people, that's robbing you of energy. You don't need to be doing it. And I think that's just a great lesson for all of us as a reminder. It's like, just because we can do it doesn't mean we should. And we got to make sure that what we are doing is keeping us in a flow state to where we're not being just drained and dreading it. And like, I don't want to start the day because I don't want to do this stuff. And the reality is you don't have to. You have to be able to, get clear, like you said, of what you love doing, and then go find the people that love doing what you don't.
I gotta make mention of this too, because it's like, even the hiring process, you just asked me about that. Like, just fast forward now, just so everyone knows, I'm not even part of the hiring process.
No, we made sure of that.
Not allowed at all.
No, Georgia can't be a part of it.
No, I'm not. And it's because I see the best in everybody. And if someone says they're going to do it, I truly believe it. And I don't see through anything. I'm just that chronic optimist. And I'm like, oh, I want to help you get to your dreams. So everybody I have hired, except for one or two people, they are they're distant past. And anyone that's been hired now from my team, following the guidelines, seeing through, asking the right questions, and not coming from my mindset, they have been exceptional. So keep that in mind, your hiring process. And even the thought of hiring someone and going through that process makes my brain, it sucks my energy anyways. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of the final say, if I want to run it by and see if I vibe with them at the end, that's okay. But literally up to that point of them being ready to be onboarded is all done by my team. And then John had said to my team as well, he said, if Georgia even has to be part of the onboarding process, this is never going to work. And he's totally right. That just drains me, even teaching them everything. I will never be able to teach them our systems and processes as good as another person on my team will. So why am I even trying to put my finger in there and say, hey, I'll take you over, I'll do this. So the best time I spend with my agents is being at the listing appointment with them, sitting down with them, handling the calls, handling the fires, and just being real time, because I'm in the trenches with them. And what I'm going to tell them is probably the best conversation they're going to get advice from, because the market's changing so much. And I've probably had it 7 times already. So that's where I like to be. And that's where the time is best spent.
And I think too, you do have a piece of it, but you have a top of funnel. You have the awareness stage of it, right? So you have what you do really, really well. And I think this is a great reminder for everybody, listening in, is that if you're head of company, you are also head of marketing. No. And you may have to be head of sales until you don't have to be head of sales, but you are always head of marketing. And what I mean by that is, okay, marketing's job is to create opportunities for sales to turn into cash. And that is also done through brand, that is done through awareness, that is done through, engagement, that is done through getting them to subscribe. And then sales can start to take over, but marketing also helps, along the way, because marketing is also not only responsible to get, but they're also responsible to keep. And so, the marketing side of things can become very overwhelming and very daunting, because there's so many different things, from video creation to video editing to social media management, copy, content, being able to all the things from a marketing side of things, events, promotion of events, promotion of everything that we're trying to do, the look, the feel, the brand, the graphics, the presentations, right? All of that stuff falls in under the marketing umbrella. However, you still have to drive the marketing, because marketing is also strategy. So our job as head of company is also to drive strategy, which means our job is to drive marketing. Yeah. And, that's where you can start really building out the team to execute on the marketing strategy. And I think that's, the next growth for you, because you do have somebody that's pushing to increase sales. And as we increase sales, then we can start increasing that marketing team. And that's where it gets really fun. And I think, so like I said, for you, your job of the hiring process is to build a brand that has the reputation that people want to be a part of. And that's what brand is, right? Building the reputation. And you've done an incredible job of that. And so, early days for you seeing, oh, wow, social media, I see this, I get this. What was that, right? Where did that click for you? And then like, where did you start drawing inspiration to really build out a strong brand and a strong, social platform?
Yeah, it's well, I think it all really started from pushing myself on video. I don't know how many different listing videos I did that I put myself in it. I think I was one of the first ones, definitely in our area, that was a realtor actually talking in it. And I remember the first one I got recorded, I took myself right out. I said no. But I was like heavy on the voiceovers. I was like going into depth already about the area. I knew that, most listing videos at that time were just, the slideshow. And I was like, okay, well, this house, it's not so cute on the inside. We got to make sure we stick outside. So, let's sell the area. Let's sell how remote it is, and all the features that really you can't see online when you're reading it quickly, or you would miss really quickly. So amplifying our listing process and getting in front of the camera and just saying, screw it. You know what? I'm trying to get my sellers the most amount of money for their house. And if I don't really present it in the best light, they're not going to have the buyers coming to the door. I really just bit the bullet and got in front of the camera. And I would say early days with social media, I was doing stories. Stories were really important because I wanted the people that were following me know that I'm actually out in the trenches every day. And even if it's just you driving in the car to an appointment, showing photos of, a property that you're going to go look at, like showing everybody that daily you are in there talking and dealing with as many people as possible. You're an enforcer in your neighborhood. You're doing daily stats. People will organically reach out to you regardless, but then amplifying your online content presence just isn't a complete attractor. And people will reach out to you to sell their home from any which way. And it's an incredible thing. Even on YouTube, just having that profile up there, people go on there, those videos there forever. And you have work that I've done. I have videos I've done, 4 or 5 years ago. I could laugh. I could actually bring up one and it makes me giggle, like how far I've come. But, every listing appointment I go to, they bring up a video I did so many years ago, and you create fans. And I love when you say it, raving fans, that, your referral business starts flourishing when you have an online presence, because people like and trust you already because they know that you're a hard worker. You go all out. You're creative, you bring a different touch to it. But to kind of circle back to that, what made ours, I think, a little bit different is, I'm always trying to beat the last video that I did. And I know that can seem exhausting, but at the end of the day, we're in one of the most competitive industries you could possibly be in. And I think my biggest strength is showcasing properties in a different light. And when you start bringing the art of storytelling into how you present your business, it is a game changer. I'll just share, this morning I came up with this idea. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I'm listing this property with a little cabin on the house. Like, it's a beautiful log home. It's a $4 million property, but there's a cabin, and it's in the woods. And I remember this property because I used to sneak on it when I was a kid because it was an old woods house, right? So I remember being there with kids. So I called up my sister-in-law. She has 3 little boys, and let's paint the picture of these boys wandering into this property and seeing this cabin. And the whole video is just a voiceover of these boys exploring the property. They're skipping rocks in the pond. They're down by the creek playing pirates, and, and they're showing off the creek in the back. They're playing hide and go seek in between the trees. You're showing off the forest. They're going up in the, the hunting cabin, and that's their clubhouse playing cards. Like, there's so many ways that you can put a story into your brand and who you are and going the extra mile that can go so much further in this industry than you've ever known. And then having that team to collect those leads and work them, because you will find when you become really busy, things fall through the cracks. And that's, for me, is business fall through the cracks, and having those people behind me to pick it up and make sure that the brand stays strong. Because if I can't work with them, I got someone that's even better right beside me. And that just builds the brand, it builds your network, and it just keeps growing that way. And I don't know if I answered that question at all.
No, fantastic. I think, you said something there that has really stood out is the power of storytelling. So for you, where did you kind of develop that creativeness, that muscle, and then like what helps you to constantly improve the storytelling process?
I guess that's a hard one. I guess I think I always believe that, I think way back when I started, is that when you're selling a really crappy house, we all have those like horrible ones, it's like, okay, I'm gonna put this up. It's not really on brand, but whatever. I don't care. Like we don't turn away any listing. And we would always do the full video, full production, every single listing we take on ag. Like literally I'll do a $2 million property and I'll do the same production on a house that's half burnt inside. Literally we have one for sale that's half burnt inside. So, every house has a story. And I truly believe that, because you got to think of the buyer. If the house isn't fantastic, well, you got to think of the buyer that would buy it. So maybe it's not that pretty online. Well, an investor, what's the story for the investor, and where can I capture that investor's attention online? So I think that's where the storytelling started. And then when you start building a team, and I'm not just talking my team, I'm talking my media team too. You have to have a circle around you when you're doing content that you truly believe in the people that you surround yourself with. Because if you have a cameraman that, is really busy, he's really tight for scheduling, he doesn't have a lot of patience with you, and that, and you can feel it, and you feel like if you don't take your time or you mess up on some lines, you're wasting their time. That's not the right fit for you. You need someone that is creative with you, that brings their strengths to the table with their cinematic or whatever kind of content you're trying to put out there. As much as you need to match that energy. Otherwise, it will never be as good as it needs to be. So I actually found my cameraman. That's another story of how I hired him. I shouted out another videographer that I started with so much. I felt like she just put me in the back burner. It took me 2-3 weeks to even book with her. She was booking with everyone. So I found my videographer from a wedding venue. He wasn't even doing real estate. So, we kind of developed this relationship together. And now, he's probably one of the best in the city, I would think, at listing videos. And we worked and tried new tactics. So when you show up at a shoot, when you have these creative ideas, and for me, when I just focus on the script, when I focus on what I want to accomplish with that video, maybe it's that, I want people to understand that this property isn't that great on the inside, but the potential's there. And that's my story, how I want to show that. He has the job of bringing to the table how he can showcase this just a little bit different, in a different new light from the previous one that we did. And that's kind of how we built our brand, but also that's kind of how we started trickling so much of the storytelling into where it is now. And it's really cool because everybody on my team has a different way of presenting. There's no way you can actually copycat another realtor. You got to find your own voice and what you're most comfortable with, and just amplify that to the max. And that's, I think, the best way to build online presence with real estate these days.
I think you got to bring your authentic self and who you are into the story, right? Into the storytelling of it. And, so good with what you said there on, the videographer side of things. I remember, we were after an event, we were having dinner, and a couple of the camera guys and stuff were there. And there's one that is just like what he was able to do and put things together, like during the event and having it and everything going. And there was another one of the camera guys there, and he's like, man, I need you to teach me all of this and that, the other. And I said, he can teach you. I said, but that's not the question you need to be asking. You need to, where does he draw his creative inspiration? Where does he look at his angles? Where does he draw the light? Where does he draw those things? That's what you need to know. Wow. And it was funny, the guy that I was kind of referencing to, he goes, yep. And so it's so important, as you're going through and you're looking for that type of talent, in knowing, what questions to ask. And I think that from that angle, it's, what's your creative style? Where do you draw inspiration? Like, and I love the element of, how do you like to tell story through your camera, and being able to have that. And, the wedding venue people that are fantastic, right? They're telling a magical story that somebody wants to have for the rest of their life. They want to be able to revisit that memory, and the way it's told and the way it's captured, and then being able to bring that. And so that's, I think that's what I was just trying to see your take on that, Georgia, because where we can find exponential gains is to draw inspiration from other industries and what's working well. So
Yeah.
your video storytelling, for example, from the wedding side of things, they have success over there, but you bring it into your industry. That's where we see the exponential jump. And obviously, what you're doing on social is definitely ahead of a lot of other agents, for sure.
Oh, there's always so much room for improvement. And one thing I'm changing right now, which I have a lot of realtors are getting into this, is we all know the power of reels and short form, obviously with YouTube shorts and things like that. You got to now, I used to do 7-8 minute videos, 4-minute videos, that's a lot of work and energy. So now what we're trying to do is shorten that, because as much as you don't want to do, because every videographer you're going to meet is that they are obsessed with landscape. They don't like going vertical. It's kind of like how they learned. So to get your videographer to go vertical, sometimes you got to find maybe someone that loves vertical and not force your videographer to, but I'm trying to make him grow with me. But that being said, you still need that landscape I feel like it's way more visually pleasing to see that online. Obviously, when you're searching, the public are just used to that, the landscape for searching for a property. You need that for YouTube credibility, but then you also need this vertical for those quick likes, that quick exposure. And you also need those statistics to bring back to your clients. Like, it's really, really important to get those views. So what we're trying to do now is break up our, say, 3 hours or 2 hours or 1.5 hours that we spend at certain sets. Now we're going to do, 1 hour for short form vertical, and then the rest is our classic video, but cutting that time down. And now, the work almost seems like, if you're not into this, it seems like a lot more, but you need to really do your homework. Like, I spend a lot of time the week before I shoot a video looking at never other realtors. I got to tell you this. I never look at other realtors' work. I look at what is trending sound wise. So audio wise, this is for vertical. I'm talking about right now, short form. And then of course I look at cinematic. I look at all these other creators and what they're doing with just a quick 30 seconds of 3-second clip, and the exposure they get for that property is amazing. What you can do is short form. So what I'm just trying to say is our process has changed. Like, everything changes with every season, as we know, with social media. So you got to be able to recognize that, adapt to that, and be creative and be communicative with who you're working with, because I will send my videographer like 30 videos sometimes a week before a video and say, hey, what do you think of all these? I really want to try this. Can you bring that camera for that shot, just in case we get it on camera? And then you test and trial. And then we're starting a whole new process now, how we run our shoots, so that we can teach the other agents when they're on set how to make sure they're amplifying those 2 hours that maybe you're with that videographer. And the best thing too is you can get so creative with this, guys. You can bring a sold sign and do your sold reel instead of doing, the classic sold in front of the house, which we all do. I'm guilty of it all the time. But bring that sold sign, so when that property is eventually sold, you have a creative way of saying it's sold. Bring that open house sign. Say, hey guys, I'm standing in front of 123 Fake Street. We got an open house this Saturday and Sunday. Make sure you come out. You have to see the pool in the back. That's a great way to advertise that property for your client, your brand, and a great way to utilize 3 seconds on camera that's shot professionally that you can dice up yourself. And yeah, it can go so far. And if you just got to remember to have a video process when you're going to do this type of content, because if you go in there with no script, no plan, it can get tiresome. You get tired, you get hot, depending on the weather. So if you go in there with a strict ABC plan, it's always going to come out better than you ever thought.
Yeah, that's so good. Just go in there with the intent of capturing everything while you're there and being able to utilize it, not only for just the now, but also throughout the whole process and into the future. Definitely love that. Right. So it's exactly what you're saying, right? Create that process. What is that? And, people are like, man, Georgia, that's a lot. Well, you're able to stay in your creative, you're able to stay in that zone of energy, because you've got the other people doing the other things that you don't need to mess with, right? Like, you don't need people doing the nurture and the follow-up and the sales accountability side of things. You don't need back of the house. Right now, as a CEO, do you go through, look at the metrics and the numbers and make the adjustments? Of course, that's your job, right? But as far as actually doing the work, when it comes to sales, when it comes to operations, when it comes to the IT side of things, come to the finance side of things, like, you've got those bases covered, so you can stay where you stay energized, as you can tell, right? As just how much you lit up as you were talking through all of the marketing and the creative, but it's also the thing that's going to make you guys the most amount of money. And now, could you be different? Like, I'm not that creative, but I'm killer on sales. Great. Go play sales, go play the sales, go do that. And then, but bring the talent in on the marketing side of things to be able to, how important that those things kind of, work together. So it was, so key, right? To be able to get into that space to where you can do those things and continue to evolve on what you've done with social.
Oh, it's just the most freeing thing, honestly, having the team set up the way that we've set it up now. I really, like, I'm out of buyer production. I was out of that within 2 years of having a team, which I think we all know as an agent, how exhausting it can be with buyers. I mean, it's just a lot of running around and, quick things like, you have your week planned out, then somebody wants to see 3 houses tomorrow night, and, throw your whole week off if you're trying to be a really heavy listing agent and buying agent. And then as a listing agent, my goal is to be out of production eventually. I think I'll always love it, but at least to slow down and not be running, 30 listings at a time and feel like your head's popping off. And then
we lose some.
Did I just lose you?
No, I'm here. You got me?
Yeah, I don't know. My screen just completely. I don't know where you are right now, but I will do it. Oh, wait, there we go.
No, we're still good. We're still good. So, the thing that you're talking about there, and it's a book that I'm going through, and I don't know if I've even told you about it, but, Dan Martell has a book that calls back, buy back your time. And, the whole concept there, if we understand the who, not how, we know the what, the who, the how, are the main constraints in any type of endeavor, any type of thing that we're trying to accomplish, business or whatever that requires planning and initiative to tackle. And so what I love about what Martell, kind of his philosophy around it is like, you don't hire for growth, you hire to buy back your time. And so it's a constant audit. It's a constant, get rid of, and then a constant fill of your time, right? We're not trying to hire, to buy back your time to go sit on the beach. We're trying to hire to buy back our time to do the things that we love and that make us the most amount of money. And I mean, you're a living example of it. And so being able to continue to model that. And then now your job is to make sure that you've got the key people doing the same thing, right? Doing the thing that they love, that makes them and the company the most amount of money. And that's how we continue to grow the people around us so we can accomplish what it is that we're wanting to accomplish with our business.
Oh, it's the best feeling. Like I had to pinch myself. Just yesterday, we had a builder reach out to us. We have another builder, which I think everybody always kind of wants, which we never focus on because of our marketing. We had a builder reach out, and I was able to sit with them, shake their hands with my 2 other teammates, and say, "Hey, I want to work with you. Do you want to work with me?" And put them on the spot. They shook our hands, and I was able to say, "You know what? Going forward, these 2 individuals right here are going to be the head of this. These are going to be the 2 people that are going to make these houses sell." And it was so nice to hand the baton to them. But also that just bought back my time, because I know how much this builder would attracted to us, needed me. Like they were attracted to my name, but now they already know right up front, these are the people that you're going to be dealing with. I told them right away, I'm head of marketing, I'm head of branding, I am the realtor on the team. But, I showed them the incredible booklets we made for a previous builder, what we can do for every different side of their business, all marketing wise. And they were just blown away and felt so happy to even be able to start working with us. What a different way of looking at real estate versus where I was at a year ago. Yeah. It's amazing. It really, really is. I couldn't be happier with where we're at, honestly.
Yeah. And it's just an example of how fast things can change, right? It's less than a year. Look how things have changed and the foundation built for moving into the future. And it's really cool to see. So Georgia, really, the whole agent to CEO concept. I mean, you're an example, right? of being able to navigate those waters and being able to get to that point. And, looking at where we're at and into the future, I mean, really for you and the company and the opportunities you guys are creating, what are you like just so excited about over the next, 12, 24 months?
I am so excited because I feel like for a couple years we were just really figuring out our systems and processes, and now we're just amplifying them because everything is set in place and everything runs really, really smoothly. We're at this point where we need more agents. Business is still falling through the cracks, and we've been able to create a culture in our team where the other agents on our team aren't wanting no more. Like, I think a classic team is that the agents don't want, your teammates don't want any more teammates. They want to keep it close circle. We have now been able to create a culture where these teammates are actually actively looking for other teammates that would make a good fit for our team. So now we're just in scale mode. And the bigger we scale, say maybe from 2 to 10 to 15 agents, the faster I will be out of production, which is so great for them because it feeds them more of the business that I would usually take on, which means for me, more time for me to focus on the things that I want to be focusing on, which number one that gets me excited is building the brand even further. There's so many different video concepts that we need to be putting out there. For example, is when you go to a listing appointment, instead of a pre-listing package, we have a pre-listing video. The first 5 seconds going to be introducing that particular agent to the client that they've been set up with, but then bam, everything the Tusch Real Estate Group does for you. So when they get to that listing appointment, really it's just shaking the hand and getting them excited about the next steps. Those are key things that we all want to spend time on, but we just feel like we let it slip through the cracks because we're so busy in production. And I don't know if you're like me, I'm a little bit perfectionist. If you give me something, I'm going to do it my way, but it might take me a lot longer, but it's going to be so much more than what it probably needed to be, but I'm proud of it. So it's me being able to step into those projects. I mean, we have a project list about this long of things that we've been wanting to do for so many years that just amplify. So it's not building so much, just amplifying now, and then bringing some other key team members on to help us hit those goals going into the next couple of years. And we're in a bad market. Like, it's not a good market. Am I upset? No, I'm just excited because I know I've been through the bad times. I've been through the good times. You got to ride the wave. So we're excited to ride the wave into the next couple of years. And I know we're going to survive and be great and just really dominate the city that we're in and show everyone that, we are the best brand in town.
I would agree. And Martel has a thing, right? For us perfectionists, he says, a team member getting it done 80% is 100% awesome. And so I always remember that. I'm like, that is 100% awesome. If they can get it to 80% of what we think it should be when you have ridiculously high standards and, believing that nobody can do it better than you. But if they can do it 80%, it's 100% awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's a hard one to get over. But yeah, I'm learning that still. So
Georgia, you're amazing. Extremely proud of you and the rest of the team and where you guys where you're at, and kind of super excited for the future. All you guys, catching this. If you are not following Georgia, make sure to follow Georgia. She definitely has some of the best content listing. The way she positions and promotes listings, it's world class.
Thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
You bet. We'll do it again for sure. Georgia, appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.